Hello. It's been a minute since I last did my nails on camera in like a long form way. So welcome back and welcome if you're new. I've had this set on for about a week and a half now. I think there's a tiny bit of lifting, but for the most part, the set is fine. But I'm a little bit bored of it now, and I do have a design that I really want to try out. So that's what I'm going to be doing today. And also, as you can see, my cuticles are crusty, dusty, all the usties. It's just terrible. So I'm really excited to just get it all off. I also have like a new dust collector that I'm really excited to try. But first, I'm just going to take all of the charms and everything off. I think this is supposed to be used for pedicures, but this is just what I use. I've been helping out with home renovations over the last week or so. So this is why my nails are a bit more beat up than usual. But yeah, a lot has changed. I think it's been over a year since the last time that I posted like a long form YouTube video, and it's been really good for the most part. I actually moved into a new apartment. Things are really good at my job. And yeah, life is just great. I've continued to do nails. You know, as I said in my last video, I was going to focus more on like short-term video content, mostly on TikTok, but I've been posting a bit on YouTube as well. And I've learned so much. I don't know if you guys know the story of some photography class, and then the professor splits them in half and he tells some of them that they have to hand in a picture like every day, and the rest of them they have to hand in a picture, like just one final picture, and that's like their exam pictures, and that the best photo always came from the group which had to take a photo every day. And the idea is just that like the more that you do something, the better you're going to get at it, and that's so much better than like being perfectionistic. So that's exactly what happened when it comes to my nail content, right? And my nail art skills as well. Instead of making long form videos, which at the time, it was taking me a very long time to make and edit them, which is my fault, by the way, like, because I didn't have very good processes. So when I was able to focus on short-term content, I've improved my editing process a lot. And I've also completely changed my nail desk setup and made it so easy and comfortable and cozy to use. One of the issues I had with my old setup, and I'll try and post a picture of it here somewhere, is that it was just really awful. Like, I don't know if you guys know the meme. It's kind of going viral on TikTok right now, but it's like the easy white chocolate. We would want you to melt. And it's just this very uncomfortable feeling of having all of these lights blaring while you try and do something, and just being very annoying to set up, which really was like putting me off content creation at the time. And now I'm at the point where like the setup is so cute and cozy, and like I genuinely enjoy sitting here and doing my nails, which is what it was always supposed to be about, right? These charms are not coming off very well at all. I'm pretty confident I can edit this now in like under 3 hours, and I think the quality is going to be better than what you're used to as well, which is super exciting. So if you're watching this and you notice like that the quality is better, or you like something that I'm doing, please let me know. And let me know if you want me to do a desk tour. Like, I really want to share the setup with you and how I've organized like all the trays and everything. This is so hard to take off. I'm also going to try and remind myself to drink water, because the last time that I made a long form YouTube video, I could tell like when I hadn't taken a sip of water, you know, it was really giving like Princess and the Frog. Except I was the frog. God, this is not coming off. This is why I ripped my nails off. I don't have to worry about it. It's just flying all over the room. I used to have this nail clipper that like collected all of these, but I think it broke. Now for the other hand, hopefully I don't stab myself. I actually made this myself, by the way. Like these two charms are like separate, but I wanted to have something in the middle. So, I added this gem because I thought it would look really pretty. And it did. I got a lot of compliments on it. My mom liked it, so that's a good sign. The inspo I'm trying to recreate today is like an all chrome kind of liquid silver kind of nail with a bunch of silver charms. So like it's very, I guess, monochromatic in terms of the color, but it has a lot of texture, which I thought was really cool. So I'm going to try and recreate it with the charms that I have, but the original wasn't silver, and I'm going to try and do it in gold. I have to be a little bit low-key this week because I am going to be in the office. I have to be like, I'm a big girl, the big girl jaw. Don't fire me. I actually generally really like to do pretty simple designs on myself. Like this set was kind of an exception because I know that I really wanted to post it as well, and I was just feeling creative. But usually like the nails I do on myself are not worth posting. It's literally, guys, it's literally just a red nail. That's the nail that I do on myself, like red or nude. And like most of the time, it's not even an extension, like it's my natural nail, because I'm trying to grow them out. And I have a bad habit with extensions where I just like rip them off. I also had like retention issues with my extensions for a little while because I was trying out these solid glues, and it was just so bad. Like they were just coming off, and I didn't like the texture of them as well. I will be soaking these nails off. I want to just file them down, you know, as low as possible. And this is just going to help the soak off be a lot faster. These are a press gelx extensions, so they should soak off pretty easily. The wire just feels like it's, I don't know how to explain. It just feels heavy. I feel like I'm having a fight against it. Maybe I'm just tired. It is like, wait, let me check. 20 minutes to 1 at midnight. So maybe it's a bad time to be doing my nails. I think that was a heat spike. I went a little bit too hard this area here, but I won't know for sure if I actually hit my real nail or if it was just a heat spike until I file off the extension. But I'm going to try and be careful. This is why it's so important to just keep it moving and not stay in one place too long with the file, and also not apply too much pressure, right? Actually, I remember the last time I did my nails, like it was hurting a little bit here. So I think the last time I did a removal, like I might have filed in this area. So I'm curious to see if that has like healed over or if it still hurt. Okay, I've taken off most of the thickness of my gelx on my left hand. My nails have actually gotten quite long underneath, which is really nice. I am trying to grow them out. And this dust collector is super nice, by the way. I really like it so far. I like that it's pretty. I mean, I can justify like buying things that are like pretty. I was gonna buy the little round one from, I want to say Macarp. I think maybe something else, like I think it's a very like popular brand. I don't know. Anyways, I was gonna buy it, but then there was a sign on Amazon saying like, oh, this is very frequently returned. So yeah, no, I ended up going for this one instead. It is very loud. Like the ads say that it's quiet, but I don't know. I've never heard of such a thing as a quiet dust collector, but yeah, it's nice. It's cute. And it obviously did a really good job. Like there's no dust anywhere around it. I have to be careful now because this is my non-dominant hand. I really don't want to injure myself. The good news is my left hand feels fine, like when I put pressure on this. So I do think it was just a heat spike. I don't think I went anywhere near the natural nail. Like I can still see the extension is there, which is nice. And yeah, let's get back to it. It is like 2 a.m. now, by the way, so I don't know if I'm going to finish the whole set today. The plan is just to keep going until I feel like sleeping and then sleep. The nail file is like catching a little bit and it's causing me to have to put more pressure on it. In this case, I think it's actually safer to just go at the higher speed so that it doesn't catch and then use lighter pressure. So I'm going to do that. Also, I didn't talk much about this bit, by the way, but it's actually a safety bit. This bit up here, it doesn't have like the ridges, is very smooth. So I can go like super close to my cuticle and you can see like it hasn't taken off anything. I just have this like little basic dish and I'm literally just gonna pour some acetone into it, my hand in there, wait like 10 to 15 minutes and then just like scrape off the rest. I'm really happy with how my natural nails look underneath. If you've been here for a long time, you will know that I have a bad habit of like biting my nails. So yeah, letting them grow out like this, it feels really nice. They are thin and frail, but you know, I think if I just keep leaving them alone and maybe don't rip nails off the way that I'm ripping this one off right now, then I'll be fine. A lot of tools that you're supposed to use when doing your nails are actually not like acetone safe. So I have to be careful to kind of move everything out of the way because I don't want to ruin my like shiny new dust collector. I might need more acetone, which is fine. I do have a bunch in storage. This method does use up a lot of acetone. It's not my favorite because of that. However, I think it's a lot better than the alternative. Like messing around with cotton buds and these little like clip thingies, it's just too annoying and I end up having to go like multiple times. So I prefer to just dip this. I can use it for like both hands and at the end, I think it ends up being like a fine amount. Luckily, this little dental thing is waterproof. I started using it a couple of weeks ago and it's been good so far. And it's pretty aesthetic too. I like having a clean white sheet. It looks very cool. I used to have these like silicone mats that I would put out and then every time I would do my nails, I would have to like clean them and wipe them down and stuff, which was fine. I suppose it's like the more sustainable solution. But the problem was that sometimes like, it doesn't matter how hard I clean them, which would take a lot of acetone, by the way. It would still have like little dots of like chrome and things. And so I initially got these because I was like, well, let me just put them on top of my mat so I could keep things clean. But then I thought like, okay, well then what is the point of the mat itself? I was looking at TikToks and watching other people's nail videos and I see that a lot of people, especially DIYers, they will just put a towel down and like that's just what they'll use. And I was like, that low-key looks better than my setup. Okay, I said I would stop and I got sleepy, and I am officially sleepy. So I'm just going to scrape off the left hand, and then I will catch some Z's and get back to it tomorrow morning. I say morning. It's going to be like 1 p.m., but it's fine. It is a Sunday. This does soak off really nicely. Like it all just goops off. Just going to buff this really quickly because if it gets caught on my bed sheets, it's going to annoy me so much. Bye-bye. Good morning. I'm back. Yesterday we got to the point where I was nearly done soaking off my left hand. I still need to soak off my right hand. So I'm going to start by finishing off the left hand while I drink my little matcha latte and eat some biscuits. And then we'll just get back into it. This is not fully off, but I ran out of patience. So we're going to just file now. I'm going to switch to a sanding band now. I really like these ones from Glitter Planet. I think it's 240. Oh, no, 180 grit. These are the best sanding bands that I have, actually. I tried on a bunch of different ones, including these 240 really thin sanding bands. You can get really close to the cuticle and the sides of your nails with these, but it just didn't roughen them up enough. So I had retention issues. My prep for gelx is pretty simple nowadays. Most of the time, I'll just roughen up the surface of the nail. I'll get close to the edges, and then I will use this cuticle remover to just nip some of the dead skin and the dry skin, as well as the cuticle that's on the nail. And the speed, by the way, is only 6 max because it's my natural nail. So I want to take my time. I need to be a bit careful with this finger. Last time I did my nails, this was all lifting. I think it's called onycholosis or something, which is basically where the edge of your nails starts to lift off of the nail bed. So I clipped off the lifted nail, and it really hasn't grown that much. So I'm really going to keep the prep very minimal in this area. You can see it's just very thin here comparing to the other nails which are not lifting. I already mostly shaped the nails with my e-file. I'm also going to take this thin 180 by 240 grit hand file and use it just to clean up the underside and edges of my nails, just to try and smooth it out a little bit. I'm not really taking off much. Make sure that it doesn't get caught on anything. Because of the habits I have around picking at my nails and biting them, a lot of the time it's really common for me to get dents on like the side of my nail here. You can see it here as well. And so it's very tempting for me to try and even out these dents by smoothing out all of this area and cutting all of this off. But I've been learning a lot recently about your sidewall and trying to maintain that. So I really don't want to cut into this more. In fact, I kind of want to grow this out. And I'm angling the file upward rather than sideways because I don't want to eat into the width. I'm just trying to create a pleasant curve. One of the things I like the most about doing my own nails is that I have a lot of experience about what my own nails need, and I can factor that into my process when painting them and prepping them. For example, I know that this nail is really strong. I can go a lot harder with the file and smooth out a lot more, and I know that I can have it be quite thin here and it's quite strong. Whereas this one, this is like my weakest nail, so I know I'm not going to mess around with this one too much. I'm mostly going to try and leave it alone. And I remember when I used to go to nail salons, they would always, how do I say it? They would always just make comments about my nails. I remember the first time I went to a nail salon, they just started like bending all of my nails and telling me, oh, this one is really strong, but this one is really good. It's like, I know. This is mostly prep now in terms of filing. What I will be doing is after I'm done filing the right hand, then I'll start clipping cuticle, cleaning up some of the dead skin. In terms of gelx, I could probably apply extensions now and it would be fine, like in terms of retention. Manicures are aesthetic too, and for me, a big part of doing my nails is to clean up the skin and the cuticles around it. By the way, you can see in the prep, there's no rings of fire, nothing like that, but the whole nail is etched. You can see these very thin, small lines on the nail, so it's matte and it's etched. And this is what it's supposed to look like. And I noticed this last time I did my nails as well, that this is a bit weak. I think I broke this, but I'm not going to clip it off. I'm going to let this grow out. So right now I just tidied it up and I put the cuticle softener on the damaged skin and like scar tissue that I have. This has been sitting for a few minutes now. So I've got my nice cuticle nipper. The one I was using before is just an old one that I now use for removing gems and things like that. But I always have a cuticle nipper that's actually just for cutting cuticles. Otherwise they get dull way too fast. So I'm literally just going through and removing all the dead skin around the edge of my nails. And a lot of people have opinions about this step. For me, because I do my own hands, it's really about comfort. If I can feel that it's dead and dry, then I'm going to remove it. And in my case, it does end up being usually quite a lot of as cuticle on the nails itself, because mine grow very fast and because I do have damaged hands. So this is not going to be your average cuticle remover where you go in or you get a nice clean line. This is me just feeling around and seeing what is alive, what is numb, and taking that off so that when I go to moisturize my hands or put cuticle oils, that it's actually absorbing. And I didn't want to show this part on camera because I was worried that people were going to judge and say, oh, don't cut that off, that's skin, blah, blah, blah. Guys, you exfoliate your hands, do you not? You exfoliate your scalp, you exfoliate your feet with a pumice stone. It's not a ridiculous idea that you're going to take off some dead, dry skin off of your fingers. If this is not something that you're comfortable doing, you don't have to, right? That is the beauty of doing your own nails, is you can do whatever you like. Look how nice that looks. Super clean, nice empty nail bed. Try not to have too many of the same product. So because I have this cuticle remover already and I've been using it for years now, since I started doing my own nails, I haven't really tried any others. And I've seen some online that look really nice, especially the milky white ones that they look like they melt the cuticle right off. So I'm pretty excited to try out some of them, but I'm just waiting till this runs out first. We're nearly there. I think it's a good habit to have because it stops me from having 4 different cuticle removers that I end up just keeping in the back of the cupboard. But it does mean that it kind of feels like I'm punishing myself sometimes, right? Forcing myself to use a product that I might not necessarily like that much all the way to the end. The only time I don't do it is if the product genuinely is really bad. I haven't cut myself once since I started. The skin is not broken at all. And it does take experience. I know when I do other people's nails, it's so hard for me to know how much cuticle to take off. And I'm usually a little bit conservative. I can't feel it and I really worry about cutting them. Okay, that is done already. I'll do my other hand now. Just gonna buff. So this is what I do to make sure I'm really cleaning the nail properly before I put anything on it. Before I put a dehydrator on, is I'll just take this brush and essentially just scrub it. And when you brush your teeth, it's supposed to go against the gum line. That's exactly what I'm doing here to try and make sure that there's nothing stuck under the nail itself. This is my favorite way of cleaning my nails after I file them, especially comparing to wiping them down with acetone, right? Because there's always just like little bits of dust that are in the folds of the nail or underneath, and it just affects retention so much. I'm not always great at remembering to do this, but I remember today. So I'm going to put some sun cream on my hands, trying to avoid the nail itself. I have to be kind of careful with these touch lamps because sometimes I just can't get them to trigger and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Other times they trigger by accident and then they end up ruining the cap of some of the gels that I have. I know I just put acetone on my nails, but good chance that some of the oil from the sun cream got onto them. So I'm just going to apply this dehydrator. Another product that's nearly running out, by the way. I'm like this with everything, not just nail stuff. If my mouse breaks, I know exactly what mouse I'm going to buy next. Same with my keyboard. I just know what I want to try, but I cannot justify buying it when the thing I have is work. This is a gel base that I really like using recently. It's from Bandy. It's quite nice. I like the handle. Really easy to hold. I try to get as close as possible to the edge of my nails without actually touching it. It helps it look good and it stops it from lifting at the edges. Because if it actually touches them, then that gel is not gonna have a dry prepped nail to stick to, so it's gonna lift off at the edge, and then once it lifts off at the edge, it's gonna just peel off, right? This is usually why I have worse retention on my right hand as well, because the application is a lot less precise. I get that it's hard, especially on these like little pinky nails. I'll do my best. These are the tips that I'm gonna be using today. I'm not a square nails girly. Every time I do square nails, I end up hating them, but there's still some designs that in my mind just call for it. With this one, I really want to have a sense of structure and I want to have, I don't know, I just want that that square nail structured look, because the charms are just going to be all over the place, and so I think it's going to make a big difference. These are the mediums. I don't have the short or extra short, but these are definitely a little bit too long for me. I'm going to size these. I'll put them on and then I'll clip them. I'm going to use the Beetles nail glue. Turns out I had like a full bottle of this in my drawer, which is really nice. There's so many people that are just, oh yeah, you're going to get an allergy from Beetles. You're going to get an allergy from the cheap nail brands. Here's the thing. The brand that actually gave me an allergy, it was P.S. It was not Beetles. And the allergy had nothing to do with the quality of the product. It was to do with getting it on my natural nail due to like a poor application. So yeah, I'm not hating on Beetles. I don't like their polishes because they're not very opaque. But when it comes to the nail glue and the top coats and things like that, it's completely fine. I'm trying to size down the tips a little bit intentionally. The reason being is because, okay, one of the reasons I end up not liking square nails on myself a lot of the time is because I have quite short fingers. And so whenever I have square nails, I kind of feel like it just makes my fingers look chubby. It makes them look shorter than they are. I don't know how to explain. And one of the reasons is that they're usually a little bit too wide for me. Not fully sized down, but just like as small as I can get away with. So in this case, I know I can't get away with a size 8 for my middle finger, so it's gonna have to be a 7. I wish they did half sizes. I find myself in between sizes a lot of the time. I know I haven't talked about this because if you're on nail YouTube, you're gonna know how to size tips. But the idea is you go side to side. It should fit from the side of your nail to the other side, and it should be able to lie flat against your nail. You shouldn't have to push it down too hard, and there shouldn't really be any gaps. Sometimes what I'll do is I will file off this part here to get it to fit. So you'll see that most likely with my thumb. I can see that it fits side to side and that it lies a lot more flush. So what I do is I try and use relatively thin layers of nail glue. I'll just put the nail glue on my nail, and then I'll put it on the tip. Depending on how long my nail bed is for that nail is how far up the tip I'll go. This, and then you just put it like this, you straighten it out. And then ideally you would just be able to do this, right? But my stupid nail lamp does not work. So what I do is sometimes I'll just turn it on. I put it far away from my gel bottle, turn it on, and put the nail here, and then just take it to the lamp. This is really hard to do and have a nice and straight nail, which is why I don't like this method. And I was really hoping to get a lamp that I can actually just have automatically switch on. And you can see the glue doesn't go really past the natural nail. And I'm just going to repeat the same with my other nails, trying my best to kind of keep it straight, because honestly, maybe this is another reason why I don't do square nails as much, is if it's not straight, you can really tell that you can't get away with it. And I don't like to pull the gel in the nail, by the way. My nails are quite flat, so the glue on the tip plus on my nail, it's usually enough. I think maybe if you have more of a curved nail, you might want to pull a little bit of gel on the edge, but I personally don't. This one came out pretty straight, which is nice. A press medium is actually so long. I mean, medium for who? Who is blessed with the nail beds to make like this be a medium length? Try and make sure that when I paint the tip and my nail, that the glue goes all the way to the edge, because it's much easier to paint it at the edge first than to not reach and then try and get it to go there. Last time I did this, I had too little glue on the edge and I ended up having to fill it in. It's just annoying to do. Just do this here, far away from the lamp, and then try and bring it towards it. I'm mostly worried about it being straight, because I can fix it if it's not good over here, because I'm going to file and smooth it out here anyways. But if the direction is wrong, then it's going to be really hard. I can tell these are looking okay so far. This nail I need to be careful with for some reason. This one is always the one that's lopsided. So I'm gonna try and take my time here, and also just using a little bit less gel glue than usual because of that damaged part of the nail. You can see I'm literally thinking about every single nail and what it needs and taking this into account in my application. And I think this is just the main difference between me doing my own nails and then having a nail tech do them, is that they're doing hundreds of people's nails, and unless it's a really good nail tech, they just get into a rhythm, I think, and they do your nails the same way they do everybody else's nails. Nice, straight. I think this came out pretty straight, which I'm really happy with. It's nice to see my gelx application, improve over time. I was definitely a lot worse at literally every aspect of the process when I first started, and it took time. I'm really happy that I sized down a little bit. I think it's making them look really nice and thin, except for this one. I couldn't. I'm already so excited for this set. My nail is curved on my thumb, so I tend to go up a bit more. Otherwise, I have a hard time with the gel to reach towards the edge. My thumb comes out crooked a lot of the time too, so I have to be careful. This came out crooked. Trying to figure out if I can fix it or if I should take it off. I think I'm gonna take it off. You know, the meme, it's like, no honey, that your finger do like. And how I feel. I don't want to take it off. But yeah, no. It's a square. Can't get away with it. If it was almond, I would just go like this and then it's all good. But because it's square, I don't have a choice. This is not good for my nail, but whatever. And by the way, I guess this is an educational moment that this is what happens if you flash cure your gelites, but you don't actually fully cure it in the lamp. You can see that it's not fully cured. And that's the point, right? The flash cure is just to hold it in place. It is not a replacement for a full cure in the lamp. I hate this lamp. Why does it turn on when I don't want it to? Maybe it's sensitive to this thing moving. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know what is going on with Savilam, by the way. I tried to do this video where I was walking through some of the products that I'm getting rid of, even though they weren't fully finished. And I had a whole box of products. And so many of them were Saviland. And I was just thinking to myself, what is going on? This time I will use one of these clips because there is not much point filling up a whole acetone tray just for this. I think it's time for a food/matcha break. So I'm going to be back once I've removed this and once I've gotten some food. I'll catch you in a bit. Bye-bye. I've gone ahead and removed that. I'm going to try and be really careful this time because if I have to remove and put on another nail, like I just don't have the patience for it. So hopefully nothing comes out crooked from now on. Because of the way that my nail curves, I just pushed it up a little bit to try and get the glue to reach. But it's okay if it doesn't because I'm going to be able to fill that in a minute. I mean, just the fact that it's straight, I'm happy. I have this liner brush that is not super detailed because the bristles always just go outwards. So it's not great for liner work, but it is really helpful for things like this where I need to get an amount of gel close to the edge. So what I'll do is I'll just dip this in and essentially just fill in the gap. Okay, that gap is really hard to fill because I have to kind of go sideways and kind of ended up flooding the bottom of the nail. So I am going to wipe off most of that gel and I'm just going to focus on bringing the gel up to here, which is what I did, and not worrying so much about the gap. I completely forgot that I just dropped my brush in this gel. Usually what I do if I have to kind of fill in an underside like this is I will actually top coat. So first I brought up the gel to the edge here and I'm going to go ahead and cure that. You can see gelx takes such a long time. Like once you've made a mistake, if you manage to do it correctly the first time, then it's very quick. I actually forgot to file the edge of the nail again, but it's okay. It's not a problem. I'm going to be blending it all out anyways. But now what I'm going to do is just cure my hand for a full 90 seconds in my big lamp. And that's also going to cure the top coat underneath this. That is one hand done. I have applied the tips on both of my nails. I also did a full cure in my lamp. And you are probably asking yourself at this point, am I finally going to paint? Is it time to paint? You probably clicked on this video like looking at the design and being like, oh, I want to see how to do that. Nope, not yet. First, I need to blend these in and shape them, and I will be clipping them. I actually have a pretty hard time shaping square nails a lot of the time. Either I make them too thin and they don't look so square anymore, or it's not perfectly straight. So it's quite difficult for me to do. So I'm just going to start by clipping them. I'm going to use the same cuticle nipper that I cut thing, and I'm going to clip them like a little bit longer than what I actually want them to be. Now, I know this length looks really nice. It does look really nice on camera, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get much done with it in terms of work and stuff. So I'm thinking that like this is a pretty good length to just keep like here, probably a little bit longer so that I can file it down to what I actually want. And I'm going to try and line up how long the nails are on the undersides. I mean, the first hand you do is always pretty easy when it comes to sizing and shaping. The problem comes when you try to line them up and have them both be the same. Okay, this is a lot uglier, but more practical. And then for the thumb, just looking at how long the rest of the nails are on the underside, I'm just going to cut it like this. Now I'm just going to try and line up the nails with each other. I feel like I should wear goggles when I do this. It's just flying everywhere. It's better to take off too little and then file it down than, you know, take off too much, because I won't be able to like bring any of it back. I'm gonna take this file. This one I use for shaping to 100 by 180. I'm just going to take the 180 side and file it like up and down this way to try and get like a straight square. And I'm also going to try and taper the edges just a little bit, you know, without making it curved or anything. So I'm going to go like this, just keeping the file straight. I think I'm pretty happy with the length and shape now. What I'll do as well is after I'm done painting, I'll make sure to clean up like the edge so that it's nice and straight. And I'm also going to clean up the underside. So what I need to do now, and this is really important for gelx, is you see here, it looks like it's fine now, but once this grows out, it's not going to look good. You're going to see a very clear kind of bump where the gelx begins. And that's not what I want. I want it to blend into the nail. So I'm going to go around the edges of this and essentially just blend it in with my natural nail. And also what I'm going to do is just etch the tip itself. This is what it will look like when you're done. This helps a lot with retention as well, because when you're doing gelx, it's not ideal, but it's quite common that some of the glue will get onto the skin, especially when you're doing a non-dominant hand, which is what I have here. So this is just going to clean up the edge and make it really nice and seamless so that when I go to apply my gel, it's almost as if I'm applying it onto my real nail. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do this at first, but then I actually went in and I cleaned up the underside of the tips to make them a bit thinner. I think this looks really nice when you have thin square nails. So that's what I did. I don't know if you can see, but there's a nice curve, and I think it makes these nails look a little bit more delicate as well. Now, in terms of the shaping, I'm just gonna buff out the edges because I don't want them to be too scratchy, but I'm really conscious that I don't want to round out the square. I still want it to be quite sharp. Shaping square nails is so hard. And yeah, I think that's as good as I can get it. I'm gonna repeat the same on my right hand. You can already see actually such a big difference. Luckily, the press tips are very nicely shaped to begin with. I only really have to adjust them because I cut them, but they naturally do taper in. The edge is really hard to clean up with the hand file on my non-dominant hands. I think I'm going to do that using my e-file. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, just tidying up the cuticles, especially on the thumb, and cleaning up the shape. Also going to make sure to align the length. I can see some of them are already a little bit misaligned. Finally, these are shaped and pretty much ready to paint. I'm just going to clean them off really quickly. Make sure that there's no dust left because I'm going to be doing a chrome, and so if there's literally any dust, it's gonna show up. Now the design is really not that hard to do. I think it's probably gonna be another 15 minutes and I'm gonna be done, comparing to the 2 to 3 hours of removal and application and shaping that it took to get here. I'm still not super happy with the shaping of the right hand, but what I'm gonna do is paint it first because my own nails are a bit crooked on this hand. Sometimes when I paint according to my nails, it'll come out crooked. So what I'll do is after I put the chrome on and the top coat, I'll make sure to kind of align this. Kind of cute, actually. This is the first time I've done a square and actually liked it. Probably because this is longer than I usually would go for my nails. I want to try and get this super, super smooth. I'm most likely going to do 2 coats, 2 very thin coats. And I'm taking my time with this because it's the first coat after the gelx, so I'm being very conscious to blend the extension with my natural nail. And also anything that gets on the edges like here, I need to make sure I take it off before I cure. It's also black, which is a very unforgiving color. If you don't have nice clean lines, it'll show. I use black because it's just a nice color for chrome to go on top of. I saw someone use brown, especially under gold chrome, and I'm quite keen to try that out, just not today. Trying to get as close as possible to the edge. What I used to do when I first started this nail channel is after a long time of prepping and applying and removing and all of that, I would be really tired. So when it came down to do the painting, I would rush it a little bit and it would completely ruin the delivery. And I had so many designs that didn't really look the way I wanted them to look just because it was like 3, 4 a.m. and I just wanted to go to sleep. This is why I started making sure that I take note of natural stopping points and actually stop. I took so many breaks when doing the set because the last thing I want to do is put all this effort into prep and then have it just be essentially ruined by the delivery because let's say I flooded the cuticle or I was lazy and didn't do an extra coat of polish, etc. I think it's important to be in a state where you can focus on the details. And if not, just take a break. It's okay. I saw this TikTok, and in it, the person was talking about how they think one of the hardest designs to do is just simple coat of polish. And I think there's a lot of truth to that. There's so many things you can kind of hide if you've got complicated design going on, because you can kind of draw attention away from it. But when it's just a coat of polish, there's nowhere to hide. Well, it's easy enough to do this on my non-dominant hand, but my dominant hand is another issue. I think I'm happy with how that first coat looks. So I'm going to go ahead and cure that in my lamp for a full 90 seconds. Okay, I think I'm going to leave it without a second layer because it's so nice and thin. I like how smooth it is. So I think the gold chrome is going to look better like this than it would if I was to potentially make it more bulky with a second. Now, I've tried a lot of ways of applying chrome, and the best that I've found so far is using a sponge. So what I do is I just grab my sponge and I dip it in the chrome powder, and then I just kind of start wiping it. And it's really important that you don't wipe off the polish before you try and apply the chrome, because there's something called an inhibition layer, which is basically a layer of gel at the top that doesn't fully cure. And the purpose of the inhibition layer is basically to make it easier for nail polish coats to stick to each other and not peel off in layers. And most top coats have an inhibition layer, actually. That's why you can do isolated chrome with some top coats, even if they say no wipe. This is something I learned from the Healthy Nails Collaborative. If chrome sticks to it, there's an uncured layer of gel there. If I was to wipe this with alcohol, I wouldn't really be able to do a nice chrome on top of it. As well with no wipe top coats. You should always just wipe your top coat regardless, because it doesn't do any harm, right? Just wipe it so that you get rid of tiny layer of uncured gel, which can be harmful to you. And another really good habit to have is to just wash your hands after you've done your nails. I used to do this thing where, because I would do my nails so late, and as soon as I finished, I would be so tired, I would just go straight to bed. And I think this is one of the things that contributed to an allergy that I eventually got. If there's anything that's on your skin, just don't let it sit, because sometimes you can't see it, especially if it's a clear product. You might not even realize that you got it on your skin, right? So just wash your hands afterwards. Ooh, this is so pretty. It's nice and glossy. It looks quite dark because it's on a black base, but I really like the way that it looks here. I will actually be top coating this, so I know I'm gonna stick a bunch of charms on top, but what I really don't want to do, and I've learned this the hard way with chrome, is just don't be stingy with the top coat. Just top coat it so you don't have to worry about it, because if something goes wrong and I have to wipe it off, I'm not going to be able to get as nice of a chrome again now that I've wiped off the inhibition layers. And then I won't have to worry about potentially ruining some progress on the set. This top coat is so runny. I really want to try a different one soon. Full 90-second cure again, by the way. I can see the nice line. I'm going to do the other hand. Usually I would actually paint. I would do the full design on one hand and then do the other, because I don't like leaving gel without a top coat, because then I get glints and all kinds of stuff on it. But in this case, because I top coated the chrome anyways, I think it's a good chance to do my other hand. I'm going to do that off camera and then I will be back. I'm going to use these gold charms to create a junkyard effect. And what that means essentially is just filling up the nails with charms. I haven't really got a design mapped out for this, so what I'm going to do is just do my left hand, pick out things that I really like, and try and kind of keep it balanced and interesting there. And then I'll just replicate the same thing on my right hand. The original inspo pick was quite edgy because they had these really cool spikes. I don't have these, and so I'm just going for more of a starry, cute look. I also have a few other charms that might look cool. So initially I had a vision of keeping everything just gold, so it looks very monochromatic in the color. But I really do like the idea of doing a proper junkyard and having a lot of designs. Some of these holographic stones are very cool. I think they would look pretty cool on the nail itself. I think for now, I am just going to stick with the gold only vibe and go from there. I do have these super cute frames that I can start with. It also comes in this color, which I think is a bit closer to the rest of my charms. So I'm thinking these would be really nice. I have an accent now, and maybe putting something in the middle of it. Kind of like the idea of filling it up with smaller charms. And I also have these. I think the stars are much cuter. I'm gonna grab the same brush from before. What I'll do is I'll actually start with my pinky. I've made the mistake before of starting on my thumb, and I've always regretted it because usually I kind of figure out what's the vibe I'm going for halfway through the set, and I really don't want to have the biggest finger be the one where I didn't know what I was doing. And I'm putting on quite a thick coat, a cushion almost. I want to be able to see the charms kind of pooling in the nail. And I have my flash cure lamp here on the right, but I'm just going to make sure to angle this all the way over there because I really don't want to accidentally cure any of my gel, especially any of the gel that's on my brush. And I'm most likely going to start with the bows. This gel is really nice. It's just self-leveled super nicely. I'm going to start with this really cute bow. Just lay this maybe on a side here. One thing I'm going to be conscious of is I really want to keep the clear line where there isn't anything, just because with junkyard nails, a really common, mistake is they end up looking super bulky, and I don't want that. I want to have some kind of separation between the edge of the nail to keep that structure. Take this tiny little star, put it here, and this long one I think is gonna have some space over here for something large. So maybe one of these. Okay, I really like that. It's kind of cute. I'm gonna move this up a little bit and just kind of adjust the positioning. But so far, I am pretty happy with where everything is laying. This big bow is a little bit lifted, but that's fine. This one, I want to make sure that it's going in the gap. I think like this is better. I'm going to move this light a little bit down so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Just in here. I think I'm really happy with this now. It's not sticking out too much on this side. That maybe this star is just a little bit too large. Flash cure this. This is what it looks like. I've kept the edge and the sides relatively clear, and I've also left a little bit of a gap on the top. This is so sparkly already. Yeah, I think I'm definitely gonna stick with gold everything. This is just so cute. I can feel as well that it's not too elevated up the surface, so I know it's not gonna get caught in a lot of things. And what I'll be doing before I top coat is I will be kind of wrapping here especially. I'll make sure that I wrap this with some gel underneath so that it doesn't end up catching in my hair or anything like that. So that's all gonna come later. But for now, it's really just laying out the design, and I'm already so in love with this. I think it looks so cool. It's very comparing to some of the other designs that I've done, but I'm just so happy with it. Let's pick a centerpiece for this nail here. It's quite a thin one, so I don't know if this is gonna work. Actually, it might. Yeah, this is cute. Very cute. I have a little pink thing that flattens out gems, and it's really helpful. I have no idea where it went. Again, I'm going to focus this mostly in the middle of the nail and keep the sides kind of clear. I learned this the hard way, but if you put charms too far off to the side, it just doesn't look aesthetic because you haven't kept this nice shape of the nail where the top is. I'm just going to put that in the middle and moving it down a little bit. I don't want it to be too close to the top because I want to keep this edge. I don't want this edge to be wider than the width of the nail itself. When looking up from, okay, if I lay it out in the middle like this, move this up. I think that is pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to fill this up too much, but maybe I will say use up the middle with one of these small ones. I think I really like how this looks as is. I'm gonna flash cure it. Okay, for the middle now, I think it would be nice to have a different kind of center point. I don't want two bows next to each other. See, I know it's a good design when I keep just like looking at it. I'm just like, it's so pretty. Sparkly. It's gorgeous. Anyways, I want to create some interest. So I think it's a good chance to pick up a star. So I'm going to aim for 4 to 6 gems on this nail to really give it the junkyard effect. Take the brush again. This is definitely not the best way to apply this, by the way. I do have like a wider brush. It's just I had this one out. So the less brush I use, the less brushes I have to clean when I'm done. I did a very fast flash cure, and what I'm gonna do now is I have this, I think it's a clipper or something that is used for making jewelry, and what I'm hoping I can do is kind of bend this downwards. Let's see if it could be done. Oh, there we go. I think that is much better. This curve is much easier to encapsulate, and I think it looks nice. So I just used the nail itself as a source of tension. It was very easy to bend. I could feel that it would be just by touching it with my finger. Much better, I think. This is such a cool concept. Like, I love texture, and I'm really conscious to keep looking at it from this angle. You see the one where we have this bow, that's the only one where it's coming out. Just making sure that the sides are clear. I'm happy with this now as it is. It's time to cure. Now the final nail, my thumb, there's a lot of pressure on this because I think if the thumb looks bad, I'm gonna hate the whole set. I think I'm going to stick with the theme of what I've already done and just keep it cohesive. It's better to have a thumb that aligns with the rest of the nails than it is to try and make a statement and then kind of ruin the whole set. I mean, I could do kind of a crisscross sort of thing. I really like that. I think that's really pretty. Let's start with this one, pointing towards this edge, and this one over here. This is what it looks like. I'm just gonna line them up so that it doesn't sit too high. And the bottom one is much easier to fix up than the top. I would like to fill this space and this space, and most likely going to keep everything else relative. So it's time to really just clean up, right? And make sure that the edges are smooth, that there's nothing sticking out when it shouldn't be. Otherwise, it's really just going to ruin the experience of wearing the set for me. I'm kind of sad that I didn't use a peel-off base coat now because, oh, I would love to be able to just keep these in like some box. I'm going to start by just really pushing the coat in things. And what I'm going to do is just grab my brush and put some of this top gel and put it in between the crevices of whatever charms are like a bit elevated. First of all, it's going to help keep them on the nail. It's going to stop them from getting caught in things because I'm filling up this gap, and it's all just going to self-level really nicely. Okay, you can see now it almost looks like I've filled up this gap here. You can't even really see a gap anymore. But from the front, you still see the defined edge of the charm. This is what I'm cure this again. I've encapsulated most of the edges now, if not all of them, with the crazy top gel. I'm just going to give that a full cure. I hope that you enjoyed watching and that you found it cozy and comforting. I would like to do more long form videos now, so you can expect a couple more long form videos from me because I do find it fun to talk through my process and actually show you the full thing, as opposed to a short where you're just getting the highlights of the final product or me just drawing some lines and it's very aesthetic. But when I'm talking through as I'm actually doing the set of nails, you can kind of see what is my thought process, what am I considering. I personally find that very interesting to watch because those videos are the most helpful for me. The last thing I'm going to do is I am just going to go over the edge to up anything, and I'm just going to finish with some hand cream and some cuticle oil. I'm not doing my other hand now. That's going to be for later. So tired. Just love how they move in the light. And if you have any ideas for what you want me to work on next or anything that you want to comment or let me know, this is what they look like. I can't get over how cute they are. And like I can tell it's just so smooth because it's nice and encapsulated. Honestly,